week over at Starbucks and for Starbucks Workers United. So what am I talking about there? Well, they've had several stories talking about and several movements. So let's talk about, we know that Starbucks Workers United has been fighting with corporate to get to a first contract, first of all. We know that Starbucks Workers United has been doing a really good job of organizing stores around the country. And there are over 300 now that have filed union papers with the NLRB. But here's the first thing that happened was that on July 4th, showing the independence for all workers, in a victory for workers, a judge found that Starbucks broke U.S. labor law dozens of times, which we knew for a long time, as part of their union busting campaign in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh was the first city that had a big win. To celebrate, here are some of our favorite quotes from Judge Ringler's 50-page ruling. And here is the ruling itself. But on page 6, Hirakawa's general denial has not been credited. She was less than a credible witness who seemed more committed to advocating Starbucks' position than offering accurate testimony. So corporate-sponsored people. Testimony when discussing the illegal terminations of 2 Starbucks union leaders, Tambellini and Manfrey, who were fired for time and attendance issues. Judge Ringler notes that many other workers were late far more times than either of these two. So it was intentional and it was targeted. And Starbucks had disparate treatment for disciplining workers for lateness. There was no explanation why Hampton, who was late a whopping 170 times, received this treatment. All right, he only received a documented coaching versus them who got fired because they were organizing, but he was playing ball and he was not organizing and not going for the union. So they were rewarding the people that were not pro-union.
AKA scabs.
Yep. And all of these will be in the chat. So it was written about by John Quayle, who is one of the, I think he's a managing editor over at Common Dreams. Like, he doesn't normally write articles, but once in a while he steps out from behind the desk and behind the editor's desk to write something. So he says that in what union members have called a huge victory for workers, and I always question exactly how big a victory that is when union members, but when union leaders say it, I question it, but when union members say it's a huge victory, that's good. An administrative judge with the NLRB has ruled that Starbucks violated federal labor law by terminating organized workers in several Pittsburgh locations, accusing the company of orchestrating a purge of employees leading the unionization effort. We've covered several different stories, and we're going to talk about Ithaca, and something big happened in Ithaca this week also. And that's the story I can't even figure out how to get my head around, but it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. But Judge Robert Ringler, he's the judge that found that the company and local store managers abused their power and unlawfully targeted workers organizing with Pittsburgh Starbucks Workers United. As part of the decision, he ordered the company to reinstate the fired workers and compensate any employees who lost income due to the illegal labor practices. I'm sorry. So that's great. I mean, I love people getting their jobs back. I love people getting reinstated with back pay. I would like to see them I would like to see them also get some kind of punitive damages, for pain and suffering, for the cost of having to go out and get jobs. And the Ithaca ruling is actually going to talk a little bit about that. That got even more extreme. But noting how the specific union members were consistently treated differently than other non-union employees and ultimately fired, the judge said in his ruling that a repeated pattern of unlawful activity abundantly demonstrates a causal relationship between their firings and union activities. I would say it's more than a casual relationship. I would say it's a marriage. But that's just me. I would say that they're definitely DTF and that they're friends with benefits. So 3 of the fired workers were part of the union's 5-member bargaining unit. A fact that the judge suggested was not a coincidence. Yeah, I would suggest that too. Thanks, Judge. At least you have somewhat, hey, this guy's not totally bought by corporate America. How about that, folks? We have one.
Or he at least has some common sense. He has to you know what I mean?
Wow.
Or it was so blatant, he felt like he couldn't really deny it. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, it's like no, you definitely stole the shit. You took it from the counter. Like, you know,
right?
we might get you off anyway, but you definitely did the shit. Pretty much.
Right. Tori
Uh,
Tambellini, she's one of the workers fired. She applauded the judge's ruling. I absolutely
Tori
cannot be.
Trampolini.
Come on, man. These people have been through so much.
I
I absolutely cannot
feel you.
cannot wait to be back on the shop floor with my coworkers fighting for the contract we deserve, she said on Monday. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Pittsburgh, Starbucks United. If you're not following them, give them a follow. That's in the Common Dreams article. So National Union, which we've been talking about at length, Starbucks Workers United, okay, said that the 50-page ruling exposes the ludicrous and simply implausible excuses that Starbucks has used to justify their union-busting actions. It also shows just how far the company is willing to go to stop workers from organizing and just how scared they are of their own workers as an organization. And they are. Because, you know, look, they work on pretty relatively thin margins, and labor is one of the ways that they make up a lot of that profit. So as workers at Starbucks stores nationwide have racked up organizing victories, the company has been hit numerous times with NLRB rulings that found unlawful labor practice. Like I said, it's just far from the first time. Not even a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Starbucks is above the law. Breaking the law. Right? So workers are fighting back. Yep. Yes, it is. Well, sure. I think that's actually Butthead, but maybe. Yep. They're winning.
Both of them.
This ruling is just one step in our campaign to hold Starbucks accountable. And I love that. Time is ticking, Starbucks, and the longer time is ticking to Starbucks, he's talking directly to them. I love how he addresses it. The longer you continue your anti-union crusade, the more the public will learn about your truly heinous actions against workers. It's not too late to stop this now. Do the right thing and come to the bargaining table in good faith. That's, again, John Quayle. He is the managing editor over at Common Dreams, which is Indie Media Award honoree and one of the best orgs out there when it comes to reporting stories. So what do we have out there? So Friday was a big day. So on the 7th, I noticed that, wow, Starbucks Workers United has really been killing it. So first thing is, we had so many wins, union wins today. What? Well, yeah. Well, what if we had room for one more? So many wins.
You're going to get tired of winning.
Lake Mead and McDaniel in Las Vegas unionizing. Yeah. This is awesome. Hopefully this convinces corporate to come to the table and negotiate a first contract. That was my response, which I believe Starbucks Workers United liked. Right, that's me, Kitty. Then this is Danbury, Connecticut, Starbucks Workers United. We are a union. Yes, you are. 90,000 views, 2,700 likes. All right, they voted 18-1 to unionize. So they're celebrating with their friends from Ellicott City, Starbucks Workers United, which...
Hey, look at that.
Hey, look
solidarity
at that.
From Bongwater. Appreciate Bongwater solidarity. You know?
Well, better than it being on the carpet. You know? 12-7. So this one was a little bit closer. There were almost half the employees over at Ellicott City that did not want to unionize, but the majority of the employees did, and they're going to be negotiating for a first contract. So, yes, we did. You beat Rolling Road to it. So apparently Rolling Road is also in process. Then we also had Boston Starbucks Workers United workers. Like we said, they were picketing with the Amazon Teamsters. So
yeah,
this is funny. I need names for their debut album quick. So what was my? So somebody I retweeted this.
Untouchables, the Greasies.
I retweeted this, and some conservative guy thought they were being cute. The Untouchables or the Greasies. So they said, conservatives making things sound cool. Part 1 totally ratioed them, right? And then somebody says, honestly, surprised that there isn't already a punk band called the Greasies. It's ripe for the taking. And somebody said that this made them sound a lot more badass than I think that you intended them to. Now, my name for them was "Come at me, bro." Well, that was my name, and so yeah. Here's Julie saying, "Proud of Starbucks Workers United baristas for showing up for the Amazon Teamsters on the picket this morning at O Dark 400. United we stand, divided we beg." So that's
Everyone's got to do this to read that. We gotta do our head tilts back and forth to read all those signs.
Yep. Everybody turn your head sideways now. Or turn your monitor the other way now. Okay.
Anyway.
There's the worker. There's the Starbucks baristas. All right. So also San Francisco is ready for even more union coffee. So again, this is happening nationwide. And what happened last week? Wyoming had entered the chat and Nebraska had entered the chat. So now you've got stores literally in like every state in the country. And then we noticed that the Susquehanna, New Jersey union, yes, that is Susquehanna. That's they are about 25 minutes from me. Beyond ecstatic to announce that they are also starting the fight for unionization. For too long, they suffered at the hands of poor management and their unfair treatment. Right. So working through SB Workers United, they're seeking to protect ourselves, our livelihoods, and our morals. We stand in solidarity with all the other unionized stores and are currently working to build a supportive base for our organizing efforts. More information to follow. So that's great. And they've got solidarity. And look at this. Trader Joe's. Wow, you took this phone action seriously. Thank you. The store got so many calls demanding Steve's reinstatement. Management is taking the phones off the hooks. See, direct action works. That's great shit from Trader Joe's.
What do they want now? They want bricks through windows, huh?
All right.
Like,
so
I'm gonna order my Starbucks.
Here's the last story.
What are they doing?
And this is the story of the NLRB in Ithaca. All right. So another one, big news. A federal judge found that Starbucks illegally closed the College Avenue store in Ithaca, New York, and ordered that Starbucks immediately reopen it.
Yep.
Another win for workers. So,
which is legit.
Reef and I had a bit of an argument on this one. I was like, this is going to make a good story.
What? You can't make businesses do stuff. Like, yes, you can. Like,
well, you can and you can't.
You definitely can.
You can and you
can't.
No,
you can.
All right.
Clearly you can.
So what I can't get my head around is, and we're going to look into the story a little bit more, but they closed the store more than a year ago. So the real estate has either been empty or they have sold this property likely to another buyer, which is now there. So are you kicking this company out of their new digs that they've bought this building? Yes. And what are they supposed to do?
Capitalists.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault that they bought a Starbucks that fired everyone.
Well.
All right.
I mean, honestly, I would say it was up to Starbucks. Starbucks needs to figure that out. You need to find a spot.
Yeah, pay reprimands and like
exactly.
Well,
they need to figure out how to reopen that spot that they illegally closed and made shut down. Probably left, whoever they were already paying lease with. There was probably already something that went down with that, regardless. So, I mean, I do think, they might find a way to figure out however that might go, especially since it was, I thought you said it was a college town or something like that. So they'll figure out somewhere to go.
What do they say about crimes in every other instance? Well, it's a deterrent. You gotta keep people from doing crime by making it really bad if you do the crime. No matter the crime.
So my question to Starbucks Workers United is, how does a judge tell a private business that they have to reopen? Like, they closed the business. I think what Starbucks did is terrible. I'm not sure how making them reopen a store, rehire the same workers, and then treat them badly fixes anything, because you know that they're not going to want to treat those workers well. How the hell? Why would you ever want to go work there for them again? I mean, to stick it to them, yes, but to be treated the way they guarantee they're going to treat you.
They're making the wins. They're making the wins because, that's the thing that's so inspiring right now is that often what you see, like we saw it with Amazon a bit, how some places were able to vote in, some places weren't, but it was because there was so much inconsistency. And that's what's so inspiring about what's happening with Starbucks is that everybody's kind of holding the line there. So, I mean, there might just be hope is really what the workers are saying they have with.
Think of the first day back at that job. Like you get to walk in like with that, like, dude, they couldn't tell me to do shit for days. Like, I'd be like, yeah, fuck you, we won. You can't do shit. Can't tell me nothing. Fire me. You can't. Fuck you. Like,
Cheese sandwich making an interesting point. Starbucks on strike demanding full gay workforce. Not exactly, but that's a funny comment because we actually talked about that a couple weeks ago. They're on strike because Starbucks intentionally told them to take down Pride gear in certain stores where it was on before, and they've had the ability to do that and express that in the past, and they took away something they had been doing and nobody had a problem with. But I get it.
Yep.
And I get why people don't necessarily like that. And that's, I'm fine with it, really. Like, doesn't bother me one bit. You want to wear all the rainbow stuff. My kid, I got a daughter. She loves rainbows. So you want to wear rainbows
not that
everywhere.
there's anything wrong with that.
I'm completely fine. No, like go ahead, live your life and live free, be free. Oh man, so
okay, Costanza, it's gonna be all right.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I was at the pool.
Not that there's anything wrong. I was at the pool.
So, but I still want to know how do they tell a judge to reopen? So this guy Colin says that because the First Amendment ties into labor rights, which I thought was interesting. If you didn't know, read up on Abraham Lincoln, for example, the relationship between labor and capital. Our labor law needs to be updated. The NLRA was written in 1935, and he's saying pass the PRO Act also here, and he's, I believe, a union organizer also. So he would be a good person. I said, my question is, what's the penalty for non-compliance with the entire ruling at that point? Fines? I think they should have been forced to pay each of the six at least $1 million, maybe even $2 million.
I think this might cost them more, depending on how things work out. Like, let's say that other company now decides to sue because you had terrible labor practice. That's now more money. Like So
KW with the Ukraine flag, okay, but they can keep doing it and get sued. Now I will say that the Step Brothers reference, their Audi 5000, bro.
Yeah,
like that kind of got me a little bit. I thought that was kind of funny, despite the flag. We can come together over other stuff, but somebody got big mad over what I was saying. And this should be obvious that the store was closed in retaliation. This is what you were saying to Tommy, against workers for union organizing. The reopening of the store meets workers' demands. Great. I said, do you think that Starbucks is going to put all their full efforts into making that store a success? My guess is they'll attempt to torpedo it.
No, but who cares?
Well, people who work.
They could end up having to pay people out. I mean, also we have to keep in mind that sometimes why people will fight for this particular job, even though it seems to make more sense to move on, is they might have been promised certain benefits. It might be what's really closest to them. It might be one of the better options. So getting it like rug pulled from them really meant something. So there's potential there, I think, even though like in the face of it, it just seems like it's just, rife for more abuse. There could be a reason why these workers are trying to even put themselves back into that position.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, it's also they may feel like and the union may feel it sets a precedent anyway. That, if you're going to do this, that we will use this legal bludgeon, and like you might have to reopen a store you fired, or worse.
Well, here's my point. Please name all the private businesses that the federal government has ordered a company to reopen an office and rehire the people, treating them well after a bitter fight. And I don't think
just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it shouldn't. And there probably is instances. If I wasn't too lazy to go look it up.
And also, there is the just sticking it to them portion. Like, this can't be lucrative for them, even if they do open it up and then try to hurt the workers and kneecap the workers. That's just wasting their own money and their own time too. Wouldn't they want this business to also have money or make money at some point in the future, it being reopened? I don't know. I feel like
it would recoup legal costs.
At the very least, it would waste their own money and time if they do that route.
All right, so this is the actual judgment that they had, and I wanted to get down to the decision because this is where it says what the remedies were, and this is people's testimonies, and then at the very end, it gives the decision. All right. So here's the order. Starbucks, it's all officers, agents, and representatives shall cease and desist from discharging or otherwise discriminating against employees for engaging in union or other protected concerted activity. Can't believe that even needs to be said, but it does. Refusing to engage in decisional bargaining over store closures that can reasonably be expected to chill union activity at the other Starbucks facilities. Refusing to bargain over charges to its policies and practices that have changed since the certification of the union on April 8th, 2022, including enforcement of discipline and the hours of its Ithaca stores. So talking about that, it's suggesting that pro-union employees, that they quit their employment if they're unhappy. They should cease and desist from all these things, suggesting to their employees that it has no intention of complying with the NLRA, or otherwise suggesting that organizing would be futile, which is what Starbucks has illegally been telling their employees. More strictly and consistently enforcing its rules and policies after learning of union activity, which is something that they also tend to do, is clamp down on the store and send more managers there to scrutinize employees, denying leave requests due to union activity, telling employees that it was closing permanently a store when no such decision had been made. Well, that's going to cause them to start looking for work unnecessarily, wouldn't it? Yes. So in any manner, they also need to cease and desist in any manner interfering with, restraining, or coercing employees in the exercise of the rights guaranteed to them by Section 7 of the NLRA. That's all great.
Yeah, so this is all a cease and desist?
Right. So no, here's what they shall take. The respondent shall take the following affirmative action necessary to effectuate the policies of the Act. So here's what they have to do. Within 14 days of the board's order, the 6 employees, Benjamin South, Kaylee Gillett, Kiki Condon, Johnny Carpenter McLean, David Rosenko, and Beck McLean, full instatement to their former jobs, or if those jobs no longer exist, to substantially equivalent positions without prejudice to their seniority or other rights or privileges previously enjoyed. So they get time served back. Right? The respondent shall also make them whole for any loss of earnings and other benefits and for any other direct and foreseeable pecuniary harm suffered as a result of their unlawful discharges as provided in the remedy of the discussion. That's what I'm talking about, getting them made whole for any, compensate them for search for work and interim employment expenses. So this is all really good stuff. Right? So they also need to compensate employees for adverse tax consequences, if any, for receiving a lump sum back pay award. So not only do they have to pay them the amount, they also have to cover the amount of tax implication difference on what their normal tax bill would be. Right?
Okay.
Right. Within 2 weeks from the board's order, remove from its files any reference to the unlawful discharges and disciplines of those 6. Within 3 days thereafter, notify each of them. Oh, God. Well, notify each of them individually in writing that this had been done. Right. They have to engage in bargaining over engage in bargaining over the decision to close its College Avenue store and then reopen the College Avenue store immediately. Like when I saw that, my head exploded. I'm like, I've never seen that in a court ruling in my life, at least that I know of. I mean, I haven't studied law.
Yeah, but how many have you been looking? Right.
I'm not a lawyer, but
you know,
I play one on TV.
Maybe we should call a labor lawyer and see if there's precedent, because otherwise this wouldn't have happened.
I play one on TV, but and then, of course, they also have to offer immediate employment to all employees who were working at the College Avenue store as of June 1st last year when they closed it. They have to bargain with the union as the exclusive bargaining representative of its College Avenue employees for a period of not less than a year after the store reopens, and remedies all the unfair labor practices found herein. I mean, this is all awesome. Wow. Like literally holding them by the nuts and saying, this is what you're going to do. Squeezing hard. Bargain with the union as the exclusive bargaining representative of the union employees at Meadow and Common stores for a period of 6 months after it remedies all the unfair labor practices herein. I mean, this is all awesome stuff. There we go. Roger Meadows is over on the Rockfin. He's got a $2 Super Ray. Always appreciated. Shout out to Pasta. What he's saying is the 2015 model Corporate Charter Revocation Act gives state attorney generals the power to revoke. Here, let me move this over so you guys can see that. It gives the state the power to revoke. I was reading that to revoke corporate charters, which is a privilege, not a right, when the corporation has established a record of egregious behavior, putting communities at risk of using workers, consumers, the environment. We need to amend that law for passing state laws to allow AGs to reissue co-op charters in its place. Yeah, so that now the workers can then own the means of production, and it turns into a worker-owned co-op, and they then run the joint.
Yep. I'm far more for. There was a union that literally through their win became a co-op. Yeah. Yep. So somebody's listening.
Yep, they did that. So they also have to, within 14 days, post at all its facilities the attached notice marked appendix, right? And it tells them all the different stuff that happened in this lawsuit, and this is at every facility nationwide. They have to post this. They shall also, within 14 days, all right, may allow for good cause shown, blah, 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 blah. All payroll cards, they have to provide all of the back pay through one of the terms of this order based upon the documents and records that have been provided, and what they have to be completely transparent about that. Make employees whole for losses suffered by reason of unlawful unilateral charges on the terms and conditions of employment. This is huge, and all these 6 are going to need lawyers, so they're going to have to compensate for all their legal fees. I mean, it's gonna be costing. It's still going to be nothing for Starbucks in the end. It's still a drop in the bucket. But within 21 days, they shall file with the regional director a sworn certification of a responsible official on a form provided by the region attesting to the steps that they've taken to comply. Now, what I want to know is what happens if they don't comply? Here's the appendix.
Hopefully, some people go to jail. That would be that. Then that would be avoiding legal reprimand or whatever, right? Something like that.
This is what needs to be posted everywhere. All right. This is the appendix that they have to then sign and post. With there's an official notice and may not be defaced by anyone for 60 consecutive days from date of posting. I mean, it's serious stuff. I love holding them accountable. I still don't quite understand how and I guess Roger is explaining that, their corporate charter is at stake in the state, but that would also put every other potential Starbucks in New York State at risk if that's coming from the state. I don't know where that's coming from. That would be ideal. Now this is coming from the National Labor Relations Board. That's not coming from the state. I believe that, the judge in Ithaca, this is an NLRB judge. So I'm not really sure how that works.